Query. What do you wish to ask of him, Master? Protocol. This will be a very sensitive topic, Master. You will want to be careful with your questions or risk offending him. Not that that is much of a worry. Translation. Translation. You have been told that to be considered worthy of hearing the histories. Translation. He says the discussion is closed. Translation. Translation. He is stupefied, Master. He never thought you could return with such an item. Such a thing has not been done in many years. Translation. He will allow you to meet the storyteller, but also gives a warning. If you dare to repeat the histories incorrectly, you will be killed. Translation. The storyteller will be summoned to one of the rooms here in the Enclave. He seems to think this is a great honor for you, Master. Translation. Translation. Master?
I'm here.
Translation. He identifies himself as the storyteller, Master. He has been told of your warrior skills and will speak the history to you. Translation. Translation. There is only one accepted history, passed orally to each successive generation. Translation. A book or datapad can be taken away, cheapening the value of what it contains. To commit it to paper or storage is to remove it from the people. Translation. Translation. You may choose to hear the history, or you may choose not to. Their history is a single entity that cannot be partitioned. Translation. The only exception is in continuing the tales once they have begun. If you leave, when you return, he will continue from where he left off. Translation. Translation. It begins with the ancient times. They were not sand people, for there was no sand. The land was green with life, and they walked without wrappings. Translation. Though the land was beautiful, they lived apart from the land. They built their walls high and saw beyond the horizon. They dared to reach the stars. Translation. There are no words for how long ago this was. It was before the outsiders, before the abduction, before the cities fell, before the builders. Cautionary. I should warn you, Master, that any questioning of their interpretation may be seen as trying to change the meaning of what was said. Clarification. They may consider this to be speaking the words in error, a blasphemy they would attempt to kill you for. Clarification. It would appear that they once had a thriving technologically advanced society, but were wiped out by a much more sophisticated alien species. Translation. Translation. He only understands the Builders as an iconic force meant to test the resolve of his people. He is not making sense, Master. Clarification. They claim their stories are repeated unchanged, but they have demonized these Builders. In their minds, they wreaked such havoc they could not possibly be flesh and blood. Doubting. I don't believe he can, Master. Even if their stories are exact and unchanged, it is likely they were first told thousands of years after these events occurred. This has become very much like a creation myth for his people. There is no date. It simply was. Obedient. I will ask whatever you wish, Master. Translation. Translation. His arrogant people touched the stars, and this sin drew the attention of the Builders. The Builders did not touch the stars, they lashed them to millstones. Translation. Great demons of metal stripped the world of its riches, until all that was left was the green of the ground. The great cities were lifted away. Translation. Those that had used the wealth were taken along with it, transgressors abducted to serve past the sky, seeding the stars with penitent, adaptable slaves. Cautionary. Remember my warning, Master. They may consider certain questions to be speaking the words in error, a blasphemy they would attempt to kill you for. Clarification. I believe they were occupied by this technologically superior species for a substantial period. Stripping an entire planet of usable resources would have taken generations. Obvious. The same reason Zerka Corporation is attempting it now. Expanding empires need tremendous amounts of resources. Obedient. Translation. Translation. There came a time when the Builders were also judged for their crimes. After generations, a plague weakened them, and the time of the Great War began. Translation. The Builders faltered, and his people realized why they had been punished, so that they understood the crime, and would now strike down the greater offender. Translation. They worked chaos in the machines, so they destroyed themselves. The Builders fought back, laying waste to the green that had been misused with fire from above. Translation. Soil became glass, grinding to sand, but the fight was long planned, and his people were safe. Deep in cave homes carved from valley wall, they were free. Translation. Editing, if I may, Master. This section of his tale details several millennia of the Long Walk, their nomadic wanderings as they accept their identity in a desert world. Rather than strain my circuits on his dialect, might we just assume there was much fighting over who has the biggest bantha and move on to more recent things? Translation. Translation. The tribes spread far, distant from each other, but all the sand people and all cherished the land that remained. The sand would not be misused. Translation. Then machines fell from the stars again, outsiders like you that brazenly walked apart. Translation. These outsiders reminded them of their past transgression, of the time when they too walked apart from land. The outsiders, your kind, looked like their ancient abducted. Translation. So it is to the current sons that the Sand people hate all outsiders and give them no footing. You come again, time after time, adaptable slaves to the machine. Edited. The last 1,000 years are full of conflicts with different groups of attempted planetary settlers, all of whom are poorly described, long dead, and likely untraceable. I believe I have truncated it down to the usable bits in what was already said. I hope it is enough, Master. Cautionary. Clarification. The occupying force suffered some sort of species-wide plague that lowered their numbers over time. His people used this extended weakness to sabotage their larger ships. The response of the builders appears to have been to lay waste to the entire surface of Tatooine. Doubting. They didn't, Master. They struck a blow, but the storyteller only believes they won because the builders were gone when they emerged from their caves. That does not mean they defeated anyone. It seems clear that the builders simply sterilized their problem and left. The enemy judged them not worthy to fight. Clarification. I may not have properly conveyed how long they fought with the builders. Given time, any number of armaments could destroy a world. Hypothesis. Perhaps this is another distortion. Their climate may have begun to fail due to their unrestrained development even before the builders arrived. Looking back thousands of years later, such a shift could easily be attributed to the much-hated conquerors. Doubting. They didn't, Master. They struck a blow. But the storyteller, that does not mean they... Obedient. Translation. Now that you have heard the whole of the history, you may select a piece of it to hear again. Obedient. Translation. Query. Protocol. This will be... Translation. He says you may listen to the story. Translation. The storyteller. Caution. Impatience. Master, I refuse to inconvenience you with this. He spouted names of petty tribal fights in deserts so distant they might as well be across the galaxy. Really, Master, I'm sure it's important to him, but it has nothing of value that you could ever put to use. Clarification. It would appear that they once had a thriving technologically advanced society, but were wiped out by a much more sophisticated alien species. Negative. I am no library, but since there is no Republic record of this planet having sentient life before Zerka colonization, I doubt you will find such evidence. Obed. Translation.
The Republic is too complacent. If they let Terrace fall, do you think they care what happens out here?
Yikukuno noba mulira jikun. Tonghit kun chonching. Ne boboje mata ne punage. Dolby kikiwana. Dijo tonga kun hongabi. Ona kun bez ching palamule. Achuta.
If you were looking for your fortune, you picked the wrong planet.
정 아봉샤 옵니나 왕가 곰비
Igratu haku chichiya, mambe pamuko varuba, nyawilio, wakatalki, igratu haku chichiya. Wakati manukolo izizuna nokumulira, chola kinchima, bola la mucha. Kukba, nyawilio, wakati manukolo tuna nokumulira, ukumigile, chola kinchima, bola la mucha.
Back already? Have you even looked for the holocron yet?
I have the holocron, Mother. I'm just not sure I want to give it to you.
And why not? Would you deny me even that?
I've never denied you anything, Mother. You may think I don't remember what it was like before I left for the Order, but I do. You were the one who pushed Father to go on one treasure hunt after the other. You loved living in wealth. You think I don't remember the fights? You were eager to send me to the Jedi even though I didn't want to go. You took Father away from me. And now this holocron is all I have of him.
Fool girl. You have a strange way of remembering things. That wasn't...
No, I don't wish to argue with you anymore, Mother. It's time we parted ways now, for both our benefit.
So that's the way it is it? All that Jedi training and you haven't learned a thing?
On the contrary, I've learned much. I've learned, for instance, when it is best to walk away from a situation that can only lead to conflict.
How can you learn anything when you hear only what you want to hear? Well, go on then. Keep the holocron. It was for you anyhow. I'll just go off and die peacefully. And you needn't bother with me anymore. That's obviously what's best.
Farewell, Mother. May the Force be with you.
May as well be with one of us.
If you were looking for your fortune, you picked the wrong planet.
Just the person I was hoping to see.
Save it, Griff. I'm not talking to you. I want no part of whatever you're involved in.
Okay, sis, I see you're still mad. Fair enough. I don't think you could help me with this anyway. It's more of a job for your friend here. As you may know, tack glands can be refined to a very potent powder. It's the primary ingredient in Teresian ale. That's what makes it so strong. Of course, now that Taris is pretty much wiped from the face of the map, Teresian ale has become somewhat scarce and very, very valuable. Luckily, I know the secret recipe. I know this guy. He's with the Exchange. Now, if I give him a small sample of Teresian ale, he says he can synthesize it and reproduce it in mass quantities. Problem is, I need one of those tack glands to make the first batch. And now that Taris is a smoking ruin, the only place to find tack is on Kashyyyk. If you can get your hands on one of those tack glands, I'll make it worth your while.
Griff, are you blind? Can't you see you're talking to a Jedi? We're out here trying to save the galaxy. We can't waste time on this.
Please, you have to help me. I promised this guy from the Exchange a sample of Teresian ale. If I don't come through for him, he's gonna break my legs. Or worse. Yeah, I knew you'd come through for me. You won't regret this. You'll see. Just don't take too long, okay? This guy from the Exchange could stop by any day. I kinda told him I already had the stuff, so if he shows up and I'm empty-handed, well, let's just say I really, really hope it doesn't come to that.
Greetings again from the offices of Zerga Corporation. Is this about bounties or something else? I see that, but do you have the all-important chieftains, Gaffy? That was what you agreed to get for us. Well, that is a very big headache that you've removed. I'm sure there are still sand people out there, but they'll be quieter now. I think I'll give you a bonus for this. You've more than lived up to your side of the bargain. Zerka Corporation thanks you. I think you'll find that the reward I've given is more than adequate for the task. No more is deserved. I'm sure. Zerka Corporation thanks you again. Greetings again from... Of course, you've done a good job. You have fulfilled your end of the bargain, and Zerka Corporation... I will, of course, continue to give you... Farewell. Greetings again. Farewell.
Hey there, what can I do for you? I'm worried about Griff and his latest plan. I got a bad feeling about it. He doesn't know anything about brewing Teresian ale, and now he's got himself mixed up with the exchange. Sometimes Griff can be so stupid. Part of me just wants to let him get what's coming to him. Why not? He turned his back on me. He abandoned me on Terrace, so maybe I should just leave him high and dry now. Maybe a couple broken kneecaps will do him some good. Maybe that's just the kind of jolt he needs to turn his life around. Only, what if they do something worse? They might kill him. I don't want him to die. He doesn't deserve that. But I just can't keep supporting his crazy schemes. Someone has to teach him a lesson. You're right. Griff may be my brother, but he deserted me on Terrace. As far as I'm concerned, that pretty much breaks any bond we had. I'm not gonna worry about Griff anymore. Like you said, he brought this on himself. Besides, he always treated me like garbage. Now it's payback time.
Yeah, what do you want? I think I'll tell you a bit about the recent war we had with the Republic. That might be more familiar to you. The one where Jedi Revan beat my people. We started by conquering worlds outside the Republic. We did it quietly so the Republic wouldn't really know what was going on until it was too late. When we finally did hit the Republic worlds, they had no idea we were coming. We came in through 3 invasion corridors in adjacent sectors. Anyone who put up a fight, or wouldn't fight, was crushed. We razed whole worlds trying to provoke the Republic into fighting us. I don't particularly enjoy wiping out worlds for its own sake, but the cowardly tactics the Republic defenders used left us little choice. Hiding in the homes of civilians, using families as shields, thinking we would not use appropriate force on their bases inside major cities. They underestimated our resolve, and what measures are acceptable in war. Those who cannot defend themselves should not be around those who can in battle. If annihilating a city is the kind of power it takes to overwhelm a Republic shield device, then that's what we did. Necessary force to destroy all opposition. It's wrong to hide with shields surrounding you, hoping the enemy will be so good as to throw themselves at your feet to be slaughtered. I have no time or patience for cowards. They deserve to be hunted down and exterminated like vermin. There was no honor in wiping them out like rats. But some of your forces did redeem the Republic in our eyes, especially later. Later, when Revan had joined the war. But we'll get back to that. We've wasted too much time already. Is there something else you want to know? Your choice. Yeah, what do you want? Your choice.
Statement. HK-47 is ready to serve, Master. Statement. I know some elements of my functionality, Master, but not all. Qualification. I suspected that it might, Master, but without memory, I had no way of knowing whether or not I knew that was true. Qualification. Not so much, Master. I spoke out of ignorance. I assumed the Ithorian was responsible for my memory loss. That does not mean I am not a fully loyal droid willing to serve its master. Right, Master? Answer. I believe I have been damaged several times in the past, Master. I have always been repaired, but perhaps full functionality has not been restored. Answer. Some of my motor functions can be safely repaired, Master, but anything in relation to my memory core is extremely sensitive. I have safeguards installed to protect that core that I cannot deactivate. It is not impossible that other, lesser memory functions could be restored, however. Answer. You may attempt to restore portions of my deleted memory, Master, but some skill at repair is required. The deeper functions of my core memory, however, would still be unadvisable to tamper with. Conjecture. It is possible that some external stimulus might result in the memory core being reactivated, but I am unaware of any program existence to do so. It is quite possible that tampering has simply erased my core permanently. If that is so, a meatbag will surely pay. As you desire, Master. Signing off.
How may I be of assistance to you, Padawan? What is it you would like to speak to me about? I have been thinking much about our journey, and I am grateful and honored that you have accepted me with you. I am not used to such unbiased acceptance from one who is nearly a stranger to me. We Cathar do not make friends easily, or for long. Even on Dantooine, I remained alone. Not ostracized exactly, but separate. In truth, I have lived in the Republic too long, and I know little. I never met any others of my race other than my parents. But we are not diplomats. We do not deal well with groups. This situation is new to me. It is warming. I feel almost welcome. Needed. You seem to be very decisive when it is required of you. It is reassuring to know that I can count on someone like you. To be accepted so readily, I find it difficult to explain. It is so different from what I'm used to. Just thank you for accepting me. How may I be of assistance to you, Padawan? What is it you... Well, I suppose I have not talked very much about the Jedi I met back home. They, all of them, were so very invigorating. They were so very alive, so full of hope and energy and zeal. In retrospect, I can see it was a little bit tragic. Well, yes. These Jedi were going to fight the Mandalorians just after they had invaded. Many of those Jedi perished in the fighting, but to us, they seemed invincible. Especially their leader, who they talked about all the time. Paragons of light and justice, sweeping away all iniquity before them. It was like looking at gods. I can only assume that that was some misguided attempt at humor. I was using poetic license. But those Jedi, they were enthralling. Everyone wanted just to touch them. Some people thought it would bring them luck. Not that the peace they brought lasted very long. The Jedi left. The people grew complacent. Those who had been wronged saw their chance at revenge. And so the cycle continues. The oppressed become the new generation of oppressors. The human oppressed, that is. The non-humans were never treated well in any case. We felt the brunt of both administrations. Of course it was. They took their frustrations and hates out on us because the people they wanted had already fled or were too well protected. But no one looks out for the injustices we suffered. Oh no, but I am sorry. I should not have outbursts like that. Don't you see? The very fact I mentioned it means it has its influence. Anger can lead to the dark side, and I must be ever careful that I do not fall back into those ways. I thank you for your support. My outburst was uncalled for, but you did not lash back at me. You are a much better Jedi than I, it would seem. But let us not speak more of this now. We should continue on our journey. Perhaps later we will talk again. How may I... Of course.
How can I help? Yes, but I don't feel any better. After all my training, I would have thought myself above such anger. For it to come so easily disturbs me greatly. I don't need a holocron to remember my father. And I will never see Mother again. Have I learned nothing? No, I don't want to talk about this. Thank you, but I must think about what I have done. How can I help?
Yes, what's on your mind? I'm not very good at this. I know I owe you an apology. More than one, probably. I was just so desperate to finally face Saul directly in the battle over Taris. And now the Jedi have us looking for these star maps. I know this mission is important, it's just, I feel a bit useless. I mean, I can fight, sure, but I'm no Jedi. All this feels completely out of my league. Because this is more important. This may really finally make a difference. I suppose even if I can't figure out everything that's going on, I still want to help if I can. I just hate not knowing what's going on and feeling this helpless. But I shouldn't have taken that out on you. I've been a royal pain in the backside, haven't I? No, I do worry about it. I've traveled the lanes more than once. I should know better than this. So, I'm sorry. Will you accept my apology? Done. Let's get underway then, shall we, partner?